Good morning and welcome to a very early in the morning Madison, Wisconsin. It has been almost 3 weeks now since I left Lauren back in Texas and brought our rig up to Indiana and then came to visit my folks in Madison, Wisconsin. But today is the day. We are starting that trek backwards now, and after a long hiatus without being with my wife, who I miss incredibly much, I'm gonna get to see her in hopefully just a couple of days. But that trek starts right now, and I'm gonna go over some of the repairs that Alliance did for us, as well as some upgrades I had them do for us. So stay tuned. But for now, we need to get going to Elkhart from Madison, Wisconsin, which means Chicago traffic. I didn't think about that. By the way, it's like 5:15 in the morning, so let's go. So it's probably important to point out, because it's been so long since I've seen Lauren, I hate saying in a hurry to get home, but I'm not gonna dilly-dally at all. I'm going to get home. So luckily the pickup appointment was at 11:30 a.m. The downside is that means I had to leave Madison at about 5:30. Because I'll still need to get fuel. I want to pop my head in the corporate office and say thank you to everybody inside, say hi real fast, and then go do the walkthrough, and then I want to get on the road. I'm not sure how far we're going to get tonight, but I'm going to go until I can't, essentially, and we're probably going to Cracker Barrel it. Plus, like I teased back up in Madison before we got in the car, I fully intend on testing the new air conditioner, so I'll go into more detail about that. And I'm also excited to kind of just have the rig at 100%. It's you know, with RVs, it's always a little bit off, and so we should be pretty close to 100% for the foreseeable future. And one more upgrade. I'm excited about the ACs. When you're in Texas in the summer, it can get a little rough sometimes, so that'll be a fun test to see how everything goes on that. And just like that, we have the rig picked up, and I cannot be more excited. We got down here a little earlier, so we are taking off back towards Texas. I'm going to get as far as I can tonight, hopefully down somewhere by St. Louis. That would be great. But at the end of the day, whenever I get tired, I'll just find somewhere to crash, and it'll be a Cracker Barrel, and that's where we stop. So I have some fun things I want to share with you. One of them I'll show you later on tonight, and I'll go through a few things, but I need to get out of here before they shut the gates, and so I'll go over some of the repairs and things we had done once we get where we're going. Let's get back on the road. Okay, well, I was going to drive into the dark. I know a lot of people don't want to do that, but I was going to. But this is why we have a TPMS, and I know I'm still driving. But we started to get a fast leak and then a low pressure sensor. Now, that could be a couple things. It could be something in the flat. It didn't, like, I'm watching the temperature. It's not heating up. The sun's going down. It's actually cooling off, which is a good thing. If you see a spike in temperature when this kind of thing happens, that means it's getting super hot, and you have run the chance of a blowout. I am slowly, as you can tell, cars are passing me pretty quickly, limping in. So there's one of the Cracker Barrels I had kind of highlighted is coming up. It's only 10 miles down the road. So what I'm trying to do is just get there essentially for the night, but then I can assess what's going on, see if I need to take that off and put the spare on, put air in it, whatever I need to do. Luckily, I have a few things on board. I wish I had a few more options. The rig is definitely getting bouncier, so we are losing pressure back there, I think. I'm hoping just the TPMS sensor, because we use the caps, came a little loose, and it just is deflating it a little bit. We went from about 108, 109 PSI down to 80 real fast, and then it kind of leveled off. It's currently at 78, so it is leaking slowly compared to all the other ones are somewhere between 107 and 111, 112. So we are now exiting for our, it's unfortunately the Cracker Barrel. I picked 4 depending on how I was feeling, and of course I just drank a Red Bull. This is only the second one, so that's going to turn tomorrow into a very long day, but at least I'm done for the night. Like, if it ends up being an ordeal for an hour or so because I'm by myself and I can just change it, you know, in the parking lot, it's safer than pulling over on the side of the road. Truck stops like Love's and all that, they sometimes have like tire shops and all that. They might be able to help you out a little bit. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck next to a semi trying to change your tire, which isn't the most fun. Also, I am keeping an eye. It's our passenger side, and so I'm keeping an eye back there just to make sure I don't see any smoke, anything like fly off, just kind of all of that stuff. Yeah, now it's down to 74, so we only have 9 miles to go, thank God, and we'll get out and we'll take a look at it. So, Cracker Barrel, here I come for some repairs. Boom. All right, well, we made it to the Cracker Barrel, and unfortunately, as I expected, it is leaking. So I've already walked over here once, and it's hard to tell. You can almost see. So you can almost see the difference. It's the rear tire. Yeah, I found the leak, and unfortunately, there is a nail in it. So I now have to get the spare tire out, which means I also have to find the jack that gets down. So I'm gonna put the camera down and work on this for a little bit, and I'll update you as I go. All right, well, that's fixed, and I've washed up. Wow, that was an adventurous thing. So, a couple of things to note. If you experience something like that, because, you know, I almost hardly ever would recommend doing what I did. I understand my tires and my situation better than probably anybody else. So for me, you know, driving about 25 miles or so, I think is what it was, wasn't quite so bad because it was a very slow leak, which means I had a nail, I had something, and it was a nail or a screw. That tire is now in the bed of my truck. Just make it easy because that's where it's going to have to be. But I'll take it to discount tire at some point next week. But, you know, knowing kind of what it was, and I kept a very close eye on it. I'm going to sneeze. Because I kept a close eye on it, I was a little bit more okay doing what I did. If you're unsure, stop. I just don't love stopping on the side of the highway, so my only recommendation there would be if you can get off the side somewhere, do it. Don't sit there and try to, if you can get onto the access road versus the side of the highway, by all means do it. It's safer. When semis run past the rig like that, it shakes the rig. It's terrifying. Also, I have the proper tools. So I have the right size driver so that I can use that to get the tire on and off a little bit quicker. I will tell you that you have to be careful with that because you can over torque it. So you want to be able to still go back with a torque wrench you can set the limit on and whatever your tire specifications. Also, not every RV manufacturer puts a spare tire on. So Alliance, thank you. Yet another reason why I love them so much is you always get a spare tire, and that saved my butt because I guess there could potentially be a discount tire around here, but I'd have to go there, hope I can get in, and you know how big we are. It doesn't make it the easiest thing in the world. So having that spare tire saved my butt. Now I can finish the drive back home and then get it taken care of next week. Now, I will say this. Check your tire pressure. So I took my TPMS sensor off of the main tire and I put it on the spare. So I still have a sensor on it now. When I did that, I also double checked it with a manual and then the TPMS, and it came out about the same. So right around that 97, which is perfectly fine. That's right in line with the cold tire pressure for the rest of them. My other tire's a little higher right now, only because they have been running. And so I also cheated a little bit and I used my hydraulic jacks. I don't unhook at Cracker Barrel, so I have to adjust that a little bit because I have the truck a little bit past where I'm comfortable with it. So just to make sure I'm okay with the truck, I'm gonna fix a few things here. I also need to put full pressure on this tire, which I haven't done yet. So it's sitting on it because I can't turn it or anything. It's back down on the ground. And obviously I would not recommend going in the RV when you do that. So that was a little more adventurous than I wanted it to be of a drive back. So, yeah, I don't even know where to start. I was going to show you some other stuff, but I'll be honest, I'm incredibly tired now. I'm about 3 hours behind where I was hoping to be, so I'm delayed. So I'm going to leave you right here. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to get, I don't even know what, some food, and then I'm going to take a quick shower and crash. And I'll catch you guys in the morning for the long day back to Texas. See you in the morning. All right, well, good morning and welcome to Outside of the Cracker Barrel. I slept so much last night. So this morning we are going to be back on the road, but because of our little flat tire situation, I have to be a little more diligent and keep an eye on that just to make sure there's no more issues. But we are going to try to make it to Texas today. We are only about 45 minutes outside of Indianapolis. So that means it's like a 14 potentially hour day, maybe longer. So when I get the GPS up, I'll confirm that. But so before we jump all the way onto the road, I wanted to just really quickly run through a few of the things we had repaired. So we had a spot in our floor that had scratched a little bit and it started to get soft. So I wanted Alliance to look at it. Turns out no water intrusion. And it was a really, really easy fix. And we had a few small things. We had a few minor paint defects on our front cap. Our ramp door wasn't sealing all the way in the back, so they worked on that, worked on the seal a little bit. All really minor stuff, to be honest with you. But one of the really big things we wanted to do is while we were at the national rally, we were talking with a bunch of different people. And one of the things that we've always struggled with is because we're in Texas so much and in high heat areas in the summer, we always struggled a little bit with cooling our RV when it's like 100, 110 degrees outside, which everybody does. That's not like a new or uncommon thing. So we decided to replace all of our air conditioners. We went with 3 of the Furrion cubes. It's a very different kind of air conditioner. It's got a variable compressor versus just a standard one like our old ACs had. So they're supposed to be way more efficient in power usage, which because of our solar system and the boondocking, you know how interesting that is to us. But it's just a very different kind of a system. So it's super interesting. So I'm going to get on the road. We'll talk a little bit more about it on the road, but here's a quick little sneak peek of it. So as you can see, it's a very different looking system, and I need to clean up a little bit from our old ACs. But in a nutshell, it's kind of like a mini split, but it's roof mounted. So I can tell you from my perspective, I've only used them for yesterday. That's the first I've used them. They take a little adjusting and getting used to, but like right now, this is set to 74. It's still technically on. But it's 69 degrees in here, and now it's not the hottest outside. So, but one of the coolest things is because if it doesn't have to work overly hard, it turns the compressor down a little bit, and the wattage usage has been amazing. So we'll dive into it. Just give me a little bit to dive into it and decompress a little bit. So we'll dive into them in a little bit more detail once we get back to Texas, because it's going to be warmer today. It's getting up to 90 degrees on the drive today, and I'm leaving our bedroom AC and our other AC on. In fact, let me show you our panel real quick, just so you kind of get an idea of what we're talking about power-wise, so that I can talk consumption numbers later. Okay, to the good old panel. So we were at 100% last night. So we've been inverting. Both ACs are currently on, but because they don't really need to work too hard, we don't have hardly any load. So it's just a little teeny weeny little circulating fan that are both online too. That's why you see about 47 watts on the AC load. As you can tell, we're at 26.4 volts or around 75% on the battery bank. So that's kind of where we're starting. So now, because that's where we're starting, obviously when I start driving and the sun comes up, it's 5:20 in the morning, so there's no sun. So we're not going to run with the sun, but if I stop and when I stop, I'll make sure and do updates from that in conjunction with the air conditioner. So I'm super excited about this. I'm not as excited. I'm still more excited to go see my wife, but I am very excited about that because the amount of power that they pull is it seems to be so much less. And these are essentially, so the standard air conditioner Alliance uses is a 13.5K, and that's for power consumption reasons. Now, for us, because this doesn't run the same way, it's kind of a hard equivalency, but it'd be like having an 18K air conditioner. So a lot of companies will boast on having 15Ks, but with these, we now have three 18Ks. So whatever 3 times 18 math is, which is on the screen now, is now what we're at if you were to talk in terms of BTU. So, okay, I gotta get on the road. Let's drive. And I don't have any coffee, so we're Red Bulling it, which is great for my heartburn. Oklahoma, where the wind goes whispering through the plains and the waving wheat. One state away, we are officially in Oklahoma, and I have been on the road for 7 hours. The terrifying thing is I'm pretty sure I'm on the road for another 5 or 6 if I go all the way into Texas. So this is starting to add up, if I make it all the way, as potentially my longest drive day of all time. I feel like I just try to break records on that now. I promise you, I'm not. I'm really not trying to do that just for the fun of it. I've thought about doing challenges. This is not one of them. Something to kind of note, if you're not familiar with Oklahoma, between Oklahoma City and Joplin, Missouri, so this is going to encompass a little bit of Tulsa, I-44 is technically a toll road. I will tell you, if you're getting into that, either the Oklahoma City side or the Joplin, Missouri side, fuel up. There are fuel stops, but this toll road is very sparse when it comes to exits. And to exit, like to get off to a truck stop or something, it's more interesting. They do have their I forget what they call it, but their toll tag thing. For the paid portion, but they recognize the one we have from Texas, and I know they recognize Open Roads has that other one that they've partnered with. I know that they also recognize that, but other than that, if you're getting on and off and you're not using one of those things, they have people at the booth, which is rare. I don't see many people at booths anymore. So anyway, just a little tidbit, if you're traveling in Oklahoma, just know that. So I typically will get fuel no matter what, unless I'm just really, really full. Either in Oklahoma City on the northeast side, there's a Love's there, that's pretty good. And in Joplin, there's a handful of Love's if you're coming from the north down into, or northeast, I guess, down into Oklahoma that direction. So I have enough fuel to get me all the way through to Oklahoma City, probably a little further, but for some reason, and I don't understand this, but Love's in Oklahoma, so that's where they're from originally, but they have some of the worst ones. There's not a lot of wiggle room, probably because they're the original ones. There's one just south of Oklahoma City that always is like in the perfect distance for like needing to get fuel, getting back into North Texas. But it's very tight, very, very tight. And if one trucker does anything out of the norm, which is pretty common, it's almost impossible to get in or out of it without, having to back up a little bit, reposition. So anyway, tirade over. I'm getting off my soapbox. We're getting there. I'm only one state away. Now, granted, I have to drive 3/4 the state of Oklahoma to get to where I need to go. But that's the last big stint. I'm not in Texas for very long, just like an hour and a half. Pretty sure you could drive across Wisconsin in an hour and a half. But, I'm just trying to get to Fort Worth. So anyway, back on the road. Or, well, I guess I'm still on the road. Keep driving, Ryan. You got it. It's only 6 to 7 more hours. Well, with the hustle and bustle of everything getting situated and in that night, I got excited to see Lauren and the dogs and completely forgot to record an outro. So, if this is your first time here and you're enjoying the content, we would greatly appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next week, bye, Mom.